Welcome to the day after. We are talking Duck sports, and of course, I record this the day after the game, and then put these out. I'm just an Oregon fan. No, never had played college football. I really am not an expert in playing the sport. Just happen to be a fan that loves it. Graduated from Oregon, been a fan for many years, and so here we go from there. So, before we get into too much, we are going to talk about something else real quick. Still sports, but we're going to go to the rankings first. And so Oregon, after their win, they're 4-0, and they stayed at number 6 after being as high as number 4. But if you look at this rankings, all of a sudden you have Ohio State, which is still number 1. Miami is number 2. Penn State 3. LSU 4. Georgia 5. Oregon 6. Oklahoma 7. Florida State 8. And Texas A&M 9. And then you have 4-0 Indiana down here at number 11. Now, the reason I kind of want to talk about this a little bit is because it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Miami started out 10. Oregon started out 7. Okay. Indiana started out number 20th. But you have Notre Dame here that was number 6. It should have never been. And then you have Clemson at number 4. So, if Oregon beats Clemson now, that Clemson's what, 0-3? Is that a big win? No, it's not, right? The same thing as beating Notre Dame. Notre Dame's what, 1-2 or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. So you look at Miami, and Miami has beat Notre Dame, which sucks, right? Notre Dame sucks. We all know that. They beat Purdue barely. That was a struggle for them. They beat Bethel Cookman. Oh man, that's such a win. They beat number 18 Southern Florida, and then they beat an unranked Florida team. And then they rise all the way up to number 2 somehow already. That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense because you have Indiana that whipped number 9 Illinois, which is better than any win that Miami has, and they don't even get ranked in the top 10. It's just crazy. These rankings are just whatever. All right. So what we get next week is we get number 3 versus number 6. That'd be a game day game. So it's going to be bigger. I mean, it was already big, but now it's going to be even bigger than that. But enough about the rankings. Let's just go ahead and talk about this game here. So Oregon and Oregon State meet in, I think, the 129th meeting, which is now, I guess, the second most played rivalry game. And, it is what it was. Oregon was, a 30-something point favorite. I believe they covered. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure they just barely covered. But, yeah. So, let's see here. What do we got? Okay, so of course 41-7, and if you look at these stats, these stats show a complete blowout, but I don't know what it is about this team. Sometimes it just feels like more of a struggle than it should be, and I don't know why that is, because when you look at these stats and you look at these scores, it's a complete domination, right? First downs, Oregon gets 29-8. Third downs, 4 of 10, which is not good. And then 4 of 12. Fourth down, 1 of 2. Rushing yards, 280. Passing, 305. Yards per game, 585. Oregon gives up its first sack, I believe, of the year to Oregon State and didn't get any sacks. No interceptions thrown. Oregon punts twice. Oregon had 5 penalties to Oregon State's 2, which is after going for basically 0.5 penalties because Dan Lanning said there one that wasn't called. And then, Oregon dominating the time of possession. If you look at all these stats, it looks just like a complete domination of the game, but it just felt, and especially in the first half, I don't know what it is. It just felt like Oregon wasn't on rhythm. Again, I felt like the rushing game or the rushing defense early in the game. Now, as the game wore on, Oregon's dominance came through and showed. But early in the game, it just felt like much more of a struggle. I mean, if you look at the box score here, Oregon State scores early. And I felt like they just moved the ball right down the field. Oregon, and I guess this is where the thing is, like, the adjustments Oregon's making in the second half are paying dividends, because even when they struggle early in the game, if you want to call it struggle, I would say it just seems more difficult than it is. I wouldn't necessarily call it a struggle. But as a fan, when you're watching it, and it should just be a complete domination of the game, you're kind of like, oh man, there's some misfires and things, and you're 4 games in, and you're about to play one of the biggest games of the year for yourself, and it just seems like there's a lot of misfires. I don't know. It's just it's an odd thing because, again, you're complaining about a 41-7 win, right? But I don't know. Is it just me, or do you guys feel the same way? Let me know in the comments there. But I and we'll just go over to the stats here. Dante Moore goes 21 of 31 for 305 yards and 4 TDs. It's like, there's not. If you look at this stat, what are you complaining about, right? But there was some missed opportunities for big plays that either from, I don't want to say a poorly thrown ball, but just not a perfect ball. Those opportunities were missed. They say as a receiver, if it hits you on the hands, you should catch it. But sometimes that's just not reality, I think there was some throws there that Dante was just a little off on. And it wasn't that he put it in danger. It just, he didn't necessarily give his receiver a chance to make a play, I guess, is kind of like what I'm trying to get at. Like, he laser roped it out there instead of maybe putting it up and letting his receiver, run underneath of it and making a play. And, I think Dante Moore is completely capable of making those throws because he's shown that he can. I'm not sure what it was about those particular ones that he was just a little bit off or whatever, but again, we're complaining about a 21 of 13 and 305 yards and 4 TDs. But I guess that's the thing as an Oregon fan is you can see that they can be better. And I guess that's maybe the frustrating part is you can see that they are just this close from like really putting it on and putting it all together. I think against Penn State, they are going to need to play a near perfect game, and those passes that Dante Moore missed this weekend need to be executed perfectly next weekend. I think if Oregon can get a early 10-point lead, they can really change the complexion of this game. But the last 2 games against major opponents, they and not like not super good opponents. Oregon State's not super good, and neither is Northwestern. And I felt like early in the game, they kind of rattled Oregon's offense a little bit and kind of stopped them. So I don't know. It worries me in this Penn State game that if Penn State gets out to an early, quick lead and Oregon's struggling to get things going fast, that in that environment with game day, the whiteout, and Beaver Stadium, it just may be a lot. Not that Oregon can't overcome that, not that Oregon can't make adjustments, but you don't want to put yourself in a hole in a situation like that against a really good team in a really harsh environment. I mean, look what Oregon does to people when they come to Autzen, right? Goods teams go to Autzen to die, that's what they say. All right, well, let's moving on. So, got a bunch of ball carriers. Jaden Lamar, was carrying the bulk. He had 12 carries for 70 yards along with 22. Dante Moore had 7 carries for 53 yards. He had that really nice run of 28 yards. I would like to see Dante protect himself just a little bit more than he is. I think he's just taking a little bit too many hard hits for no reason. I understand trying to get the hard yards, but might want to save those for when you really, really, really need them. Jordan Davison, what can you say? That guy is just a monster. 6 carries, 34 yards, 1 TD, a 9-yard was his long. Hale Hughes got in there. He got 6 carries, 33 yards along a 19. He did really good. Juwan Riggs, 5 for 31, 19. I mean, God, look at these. I mean, long a 22, 28, 9, 19, 19, 9, 21, 9. Those are good chunk yard plays. And, we racked up 280 yards on the ground and 305 in the air. That is super impressive and super balanced. Now, I think this might be the first game that Oregon doesn't get 10 receivers catching the ball. And still, such balance through the receiving core. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 people caught the ball, 21 receptions, 305 yards. Look at this. 65, 63, 60, 40, 22, 21, 20, 14, TD, and then Jeremiah McQuillan TD, right? So long of 49, 23, 24, 31, 11, 13, 20, 13. And like I said, when you look at these stats, it's complete domination, but there's still room to grow for Oregon. There's still plays to be executed. And I really, really want to see Oregon put together a game against Penn State next weekend. Now, the Civil War, Bryce Betcher, the guy has 10 tackles, 2 solo. I mean, that guy just played like an Oregonian where the Civil War makes a big deal to him. And yeah. So with that being said, the Civil War is taking a break next year because of scheduling, and then they expect to pick it back up the year after in 2020. What, 7? Yeah, I think that's right. 2027, I think they pick it back up. A 1-year hiatus. The first time, I think, since like the 1940s or something, since World War II, that they haven't played this game consecutive years. So kind of a historic break there. But what do you think about this rivalry? I mean, Oregon State and Oregon, is it still a rivalry? I mean, Oregon State's not been good. I don't see them being good in the foreseeable future. There needs to be a lot of changes for that program, and they need to invest in that program to be able to start competing with Oregon. But I don't know. It's hard for me because I've always grown up just wanting to beat the Beavers in Washington, and really nothing else matters. And now it's kind of one of those things that, do we even want to play this game anymore? But here's the thing. I hear a lot of Oregon State fans, what's the point? And we're not on the same level. But, that being said, I think Oregon State still plays. Yeah, look, they still play Appalachia or whoever the hell that is. So it's not like, Oregon State isn't playing lower competition either, right? So how can you complain that you're playing Oregon, or if you're Oregon playing Oregon State? I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I guess with that, we'll get out of here. But, next weekend is going to be a big game. Oregon and Penn State at Penn State, with game day being there. It just really can't get any bigger. And hopefully Oregon goes in there, takes care of business, comes out of there healthy and with a win, and then on to the next game. But luckily, after this, Oregon has a bye, get some people healthy. Hopefully, Whittington is back for this game. I would like to see everybody back and healthy for this game, just so we have all our options. But with that, we're out of here for now. Much love, all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and if you would so like, subscribe. Much love, all.